In this session, we will learn about UiPath. Let's look at today's agenda. We shall begin with understanding what is UiPath. After that, we shall see the key features of UiPath. Then we shall see the different components of UiPath and understand the architecture of UiPath, which layers are present and what role they play in the architecture. Post that, we will look at some of the applications of UiPath as to how UiPath is used in different fields. And after that, we shall see the benefits of UiPath, then top companies hiring UiPath developers, followed by salary trends for UiPath developers. Finally, we will look at a hands-on demo to automate a task using UiPath. But before we begin, make sure you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and clicked on the bell icon, so you never miss an update from Simplilearn. So without wasting any further time, let's get started with what is UiPath. UiPath is a robotic process automation tool for large-scale end-to-end automation. For an accelerated business change, it provides solution for business to automate routine office activities. It uses a variety of methods to transform tedious tasks into automated process. Daniel Dines and Maria Stirka, Romanian entrepreneurs, founded UiPath in Bucharest in 2005. The first UiPath desktop automation product line was launched in 2013, giving business RPA tools to automate manual and repetitive back-office tasks. Let's look at the features of UiPath. Drag and drop workflow. The user of UiPath will develop visual process steps by dragging and dropping related tasks onto the graphical workspace. Then with the user interface properties, they can transform those process steps into a visual workflow. Users may also use the recorder wizard in the UiPath tool to build web-based or application workflows. The next feature is record and playback. The user can use this function to record actions and transform them into automated process series. UiPath has the following types of recording options. Basic recording. It focuses on automating single tasks and is commonly used to develop each activity's complete selector. Desktop recording. It can be used for a variety of actions as well as actions development. Web recording. It is a common tool for viewing and recording web page activities. Citrix recording. It is very widely used for recording stuff like pictures and virtualized environment automation. Next we have inbuilt activities in UiPath. UiPath comes with over 300 built-in activities covering a wide range of process automation and application integration design tasks. These activities are found in the Activities pane, which covers most design tasks such as data extraction, data entry, and automation. Next we have advanced scraping options. Scraping data from web pages and applications is easier with UiPath screen scraping. Furthermore, the data screen scraping wizard helps in scraping of data with a repetitive structure. Scraping solution works flawlessly with any program, including .NET, Java, Flash, PDF, Legacy, and SAP. Next we have high security and robustness. We can create super smart durable robots with UiPath. With a simple visual canvas, everyone in the company can use bots. UiPath offers high security auto login functionality to run the bots and operates with a locked screen, allowing automated process to run in complete privacy. Let's look at the components of UiPath. The first component we have UiPath Studio, UiPath Robot, and UiPath Orchestrator. Let's look at them one by one. This is how a UiPath Studio looks like. UiPath Studio is a user-friendly interface inside the tool that allows user to visually plan and design various automation processes through diagrams using drag and drop functionality. These diagrams are merely a structural reflection of specific tasks that must be completed. This is the activity pane in the UiPath Studio. It consists of project, activities, and snippets. This is the ribbon tab. It consists of saving options, opening new files, debugging files, recording, screen scraping, data scraping, and many more. We will explore this in the demo section. Next we have output pane where output is being displayed. And we have the properties pane where the properties of each activity is shown here. The next component is UiPath Robot. After you have built your process, the next move is to put into action in the UiPath Studio. UiPath robots are used to translate the process into tasks, which are then executed. These robots are used to assign various tasks and carry them out in the same manner as humans but without human interference. When given operation occurs on the computer, UiPath robots are programmed to begin executing tasks automatically. Next we have UiPath Orchestrator. The Orchestrator is a web-based application in UiPath. It has features like deploying, monitoring, scheduling, and controlling automated bots and processes. It's a centralized forum for managing and controlling all software bots. Let's look at the architecture of UiPath. It consists of two sections, the client side and the server side, and the three layers. Let us look at them one by one. We will first look at the client side and the server side. Client-side UiPath components are those that the user or developer can communicate with directly. UiPath Studio, UiPath Robot, Browser, and UiPath Agent are usually included. UiPath's backend operation are considered server-side. The tasks and workflows that a user produces are saved in the databases. UiPath Orchestrator chooses the necessary function and the software robots to carry out the code's task. The robot's logs and statistics are stored in the backend. Logs are useful for analyzing robot performance and detecting errors in them. The two elements comprise the UiPath robot, agent support for UiPath and the executor service for UiPath. The agent support for UiPath is a service in UiPath that serves as the mediator between the client side and the server side of UiPath. All of the information and data are conveyed via the handler. Messages are also logged into the orchestrator before being moved to the SQL server. The service can be used to search all of the currently available tasks in the device tray. It also can change device settings and start and stop the current task. Executor service for UiPath. In this, the software robots use this service to carry out the task specified in the Windows session. Now let us look at the three layers. First one is the presentation layer. These UiPath components that are open to the users make up the client layer. UiPath Studio, robots, browsers, UiPath Agent, and executors. For example, a user or a developer may use these components to design and create different tasks that can be automated. Computer robots are commonly used to complete these tasks. The client layer is another name for the presentation layer. Let us look at the service layer, the UiPath's architecture's most significant sheet. The cloud layer shows all server information. The UiPath Orchestrator is the most significant part of the server layer. When the robots can perform the task, the entire project is periodically uploaded to the server. Within the aid of an orchestrator, the project is often carried out through several structures. The orchestrator is in charge of the whole band. It keeps track of the project development, schedules software robots for execution, and produces summary reports based on the filtered parameter. It assists in the synchronization of software robots so that they can continue to perform routine tasks. It helps our project meet project requirements, service levels, and deadlines, thanks to its web-based management system. Now let us look at the persistence layer. Database servers make up the bulk of this sheet. During this layer, all of the robot's configuration information is saved. Users insert data, robots, assign tasks, logging information, and assets, among the other items, into the orchestrator's configuration details. Furthermore, persistency layer is in charge of keeping the log information updated by the UiPath agent services. Elasticsearch is used to store these logs. The logs are primarily useful for locating and correcting errors. Process level data is usually saved in relational database management systems such as SQL Server. This makes processing logs from the vast volume of data a lot simpler. Hence, the queues tasks are often taken care by the persistency layer. Let's look at some of the applications of UiPath. In sales UiPath is used to generate invoice. This is an example of data replication in action. Both CRM and accounting systems must have the same sales details. Bots can update accounting records, prepare and send invoices from the appropriate email addresses instead of manually replicating data. It is also used in keeping scorecards up to date. Companies that do not have HR and CRM systems integrated can use RPA bots to ensure that CRM adjustments are submitted to scorecards in real time, allowing sales reps to track their progress. It is used in CRM updating. A new class of solution is evolving to incorporate their email, call and other contact data into CRM. A simple bot could be written to update your CRM records with customer contact information if you can't find a suitable solution for using the CRM systems. Next, it is used in banking. In banking, it is used to check KYC. Though dedicated KYC solutions are evolving, RPA bots can be used to automate portions of the KYC process if your organization does not want to use one. A case may be referred to an employee in the event of an edge case that requires human involvement. It is used in sanction of loans. Like most document process activities, this method is appropriate to RPA automation because complex business logic can be embedded in bots, which can partially automate loan decisions and the manual process that follow. It is used in execution of trade. RPA bots may be useful in situations where legacy systems are incapable of storing complex limit orders. However, this is more a band-aid solution. In the long run, switching to a sophisticated and competent trading system will certainly be a smart investment, considering how it could increase trading and minimize trader workload. Next, it is used in healthcare. In healthcare, it is used for appointment scheduling. The RPA bot makes appointment for patient based on their diagnosis, doctor availability, location, and other factors such as financial statement and insurance details. It is used in supporting analytics to improve patient treatment. RPA bots may collect a variety of medical information. RPA bots, for example, can use patient data to a third-party healthcare analytics provider to provide more reliable diagnosis and better patient care without violating any confidentiality regulations. Let's look at the benefits of UiPath. Increased productivity. UiPath automates with quick speed and accessibility. Consider an RPA bot that allows a worker to produce a monthly report in 20 minutes instead of manually taking 4 hours. The company's productivity could increase as a result of process automation. Next, we have high efficiency. RPA software does not need a break. It can operate 24 hours a day. A single RPA robot may replace 2 to 5 full-time workers. If not more, robots can do the same amount of work in less time or more work at the same time than humans. Customer experience. In RPA-adopted business, routine and repetitive and boring tasks are assigned to robots, allowing employees to focus more on customer service. Company may meet consumer needs with the help of professional and knowledgeable employees. Highly secure. There is no risk of information leakage from one component to another because it performs single tasks. As a result, data access is strictly monitored and reported. Cost effective. UiPath has minimal operating cost and more efficient use of IT resources. Let's look at the top companies hiring UiPath developers. Infosys, IBM, Deloitte, EY, KPMG, Tata, Tech Mahindra, and Capgemini. Let's look at the salary trends for UiPath developers. The average pay scale for a UiPath developer in India is 5,45,000 rupees. UiPath developers' salary ranges from 362,000 rupees to 1 million. In USA, the UiPath developer salary ranges from $58,000 to $107,000, and the average salary is $76,000. Let's look at a demo. Consider a scenario where you have multiple Excel files you want to combine the data in single file. In this demo, we will merge 2 Excel files into a single Excel file and send it over an email. Let's create automation to merge 2 Excel files using UiPath. From here, we can open a new project or existing project stored locally or on version control system. With a click, we can open a new project or create a new project from a template. UiPath offers many templates depending on what you are trying to do. For now, let us start with a blank project. So we'll open a blank project here. So we'll open a main workflow. Then we'll go to new and select a new sequence. We can do it using a flowchart as well, but for now I'll show you doing a sequence. So we'll open the sequence and we'll name the sequence. Since we are merging 2 files, I'll name it as merging files and I'll create it. So we'll go to the activities pane. Firstly, we need to drag and drop a read CSV activity. So search for read CSV. So drag and drop read CSV activity. Since we are using two Excel files, so we need two read CSV activities. And read from the file, we need to select the file location. So we'll select the file location, sample CSV file 1. And at the file 2, we'll select another file location, sample CSV file. At the output side, we'll create a variable and name it as SL underscore file 1. Similarly, for another read CSV, we'll create a variable and name it as SL underscore file 2. So this much is done. Now we need an assign activity. So we'll search for assign activity. So we'll drag and drop. Assign activity has two parameters, to and enter an expression. So in the to, we'll create a variable, name it as merged SL. And in the expression, write an expression, say SL underscore file 1 dot clone. Why are we using a clone function? The clone function creates a new data table with same structure but does not copy the data. Oops, it's showing an error here. So what's the error? So we need to assign the variable type to be system.data.data table. Here we go. The error has gone. So after using the assign activity, we need to merge the data table. So we need merge data table activity. So search for merge data table. Here we go. Drag and drop it. We need two merge data table activities. So drag and drop. And specify the destination and source here. The destination is the merged SL. And the source is the SL underscore file 1 for the first data merge table. Similarly, for second merge data table, destination remains same. Source will change to SL underscore file 2. So this is done. So next we need to drag and drop a write CSV file. Write CSV file creates an output file in which you want to merge the two files. So search for write CSV. Here we go, drag and drop it. So choose the path, create the file. So you can see there is no output file here. So we'll create the output file now, which is an empty file. So output.csv. So we have created an output file. So right from, we'll write it as merged SL. We need the data from merged SL. So the output file is created. So now we need to send the file over an mail. So for that we need to drag and drop a get password activity. So we'll search for get password activity. Here we go, drag and drop it. And once you get this get password activity, enter the password here, enter your password, email ID password. So there is a prerequisite when you use get password. To receive a mail, go to your Google account. In Google account, go to your security option, and in security there is an option called less secure app access. Turn that on. I'll repeat, turn on the less secure app access. Okay. Once the get password is done, go to the result section. In the result section, right click and create a variable. Name it something, maybe SSS. So I've created a variable there. So we need a last activity now, that is SMT mail message. SMTP mail message. Drag and drop it. So in the host, port and enter the server. So the server, you have to enter it as smtp.gmail. All should be in the double quotes. smtp.gmail.com, and enter the port number as 587 and enter your email ID here, which is your own email ID. I'll enter mine. Once you enter the email ID, enter the password what we had created. So that's done. So enter the email ID here. Enter the subject whatever you want. So I'll enter it as merged data, merged Excel files. Enter the body. So we'll attach the file. So what is the file which we are attaching here? So we are attaching the output file. What we have named it as output.csv file. So that's it. We'll run the program. We'll run the code. Sample execution has started, and within the 10 seconds sample execution has ended. So we'll go and check if we have received the mail. So this is my email ID. Here we go. We have received the email here. Let's open this. Let's open the output file. Here we go. You can see the data is being merged. And if you go to the file where the documents were stored, here you go. These were the two files, the sample file 1 and sample file 2, and this is the merged file which was created. Let me show you the sample file 1 and sample file 2. So this is the sample file 1 with 10 rows, and this is sample file 2 which also has 10 rows. So this is file 2 with 10 rows and file 1 with 10 rows. And here we go. This is the output file which has both 10 rows merged here. Here we go. It is sent over and mailed. Now that we have seen a demo on how to merge two Excel files and send it over an email, now let us look at another demo for a better understanding of UiPath Studio.
So here is what we are going to do in the demo. We'll create an automated process to fetch data from a website wherein the bot would extract data like the name of the person, the phone number and the email ID. This data will store it in an Excel sheet and send it over an email. Now let's get started. Now to do this demo, we'll be using the fake name generator website to generate random data of people and store this data set in an Excel sheet. Now if I had to do this manually, I would first create an Excel sheet. So let me open an Excel workbook. I'll create a blank workbook. So this is where I'll put my data if I had to do it manually. So now let me take you to the fake name generator website. So I'll search for fakenamegenerator.com. So this is the website where you can generate fake names. Now, if I had to store this data in Excel, I would manually copy paste each and every detail and paste it onto the Excel sheet. So for that, first I had to create columns like name, then phone number, then email. After that, I had to come back to this and copy each of these fields. So name, if I had to take the phone number, so I would copy this, and similarly for the email address as well. For one record it is fine. What if you are asked to fetch 100 records or say 200 records? Then this method is not at all feasible. It is time consuming and inefficient. You need to find a way where you can automate this task of fetching records. UiPath is a solution for this. So let's see how we can automate this task using the UiPath Studio. So I'll click on Open Main Workflow. First, we need to direct UiPath to go to the fake name generator website. For that, we need the sequence activity. So let me search for sequence here. So under activities, I'll search for sequence and I'll drag it here. After that, I need to open the website in a web browser. So for that, let me search for another activity called Open Browser. So under activity, I look for Open Browser. So I'll drag it on the sequence itself. Now it is asking you to insert the URL of the website, and it must be within double quotes. So I'll go to my website, copy paste the URL. I have to give this URL within double quotes, then I'll paste it. Now we need to select the name of the browser where you want to open this website. So under input and browser type, I'll choose Chrome. Now let me go ahead and run this file. So under debug, I have run file. I'll click on it. So as you can see, the website is automatically opened in a new window on Chrome. I'll close this. The next step in the process is to tell the program how many records we want to fetch from the website. For this, we will create an input dialog box. So under activities, I'll search for input. So here you get the input dialog box. I'll drag and drop it on the top. Now it is asking us to give the details. So I'll put it within double quotes, say enter the details of customers, or say people. And then here I'll give enter the number of records you want to fetch. Now I have to store this information in a variable. So under variables, I'll create a variable and name it as total. Is the total number of records I want to fetch. Similarly, under output result, I'll give the same variable name as total. Now we need to fetch the details a number of times repeatedly, say for 10 times or 20 times or 50 times. To do this operation, I'll be using a do-while loop. So to use a do-while loop, I'll first search for do-while and I'll drop it to the do section of the sequence. As you can see, do-while has two components. One is the body and the other one is condition. The body has the things that you want the program to do. The condition is where you evaluate certain conditions every time when the program has to do a task. So for every step or iteration, it will check if the condition is true or not and go inside the body of the loop. Now for doing this, we need to assign a variable. So let's name the variable as val, and I'll change the variable type to integer, and I'll make the scope to sequence. I'll also assign a default value of 0. Now we'll compare this val to the variable total. So the condition I'll give is check if val is less than total. So under condition, I'll give val less than total. So every time the value of val is less than the total, it will keep fetching the records from the website. You can see it has thrown some error. Now this is because our total variable is of type string while the val variable is of type integer. So you can't compare an integer with a string variable. So that would be absurd. We need to convert the total variable to an integer using the cint function. So here itself I'll write cint, which is convert this total variable to integer. You can see the error is gone. The next thing I want to do is, if the value of the val variable is less than total, I'll increment the value of val to 1. So to do that, I'll use an activity called assign. So I'll check for assign and I'll drag it onto the body. So here I'll give val equals to val plus 1. This will make sure the value of val increases by 1 every time there is a new record inserted. It will continue until the value of val no longer matches the total. So the next job is to extract information from the website. To do this, we will use the getFullText activity. So I'll search for getFullText here and I'll drag it right below the assign activity. Now you need to select the information which you want. So first I want to get the name. I'll click on the indicate element inside browser and then select the name of the person. So I'll click on this and I'll click on the name. There you go. Now we need to store this name in a variable. So I'll create a variable. So under variable, I'll create a variable called name, and in the output also I'll give the same variable name. Next, I want to fetch the phone number of the person. So I'll again select getFullText and I'll drag it here. I'll click on indicate element inside browser. So I'll scroll down and I'll select the phone number of the person. So we have selected the phone number. Similarly, I'll store this phone number in a variable. I'll create a variable called phone_number, and the output text box also will give the same variable as phone_number. After that, I want to get the email address of the person. So I'll continue with the same drill. I'll select the activity once again, which is get full text, and I'll drag it right here. I'll click on indicate element inside browser, and now we'll select the email address, which is this one. Similarly, I'll store the email address in a variable called email_id, and in the output also we'll give the same variable name, which is email_id. Now we need to store the names, phone numbers and email IDs into an Excel sheet. For that, we need to create a data table. So I'll search for data table under activities. Let me go ahead and do that. So I'll choose build data table and drag it right below the input dialog box. Now this table has to be assigned to a variable. So let me do that. Let me give a variable name as fetch_data_table. Similarly, in the output also we'll give the same variable name, which is fetch_data_table. One thing I need to tell you here is we'll change the variable type. So I'll select browse for types and look for data table, which is system.data. I'll drill down and search for data table, which is this one. Click OK. We need to assign the column names to this data table. So let me now do that. I'll uncheck all this and select the columns. So we'll give the first column name as name itself. Click on OK. Select one more column, give it as phone number. Click OK, and then we need the email address. I'll hit OK. So we are done.
So with that, we have come to the end of this video on UiPath Studio. If you enjoyed watching it, make sure to hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to never miss an update. Thank you so much for being here. Watch out for more videos from us. Until then, keep learning and stay tuned to Simplilearn.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.